Welcome to another edition of Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS with Rachelle, folks. It is great to be here with you on yet another Fitness Friday, the best day of the week. Gotta love it. And folks, I want to close out this final Posi-TIPS episode of the year by highlighting the importance and the power of perseverance, determination, and just resilience and not giving up and remaining committed to your fitness journey. And so, folks, what a year. What a year it has been for all of us in many different respects. And so you have seen, I've been very transparent this year. You have seen my fitness journey unfold just moment by moment, week by week. And we know that just, the gym shutting down and how all of that happened. And that really spurred me to open up, develop, create Rachelle's Home Fitness Center down in my garage. And I've got some show and tell items here. I wanted to kick this episode off by highlighting some of these items because there's a lot of them and they're kind of crowding me out in terms of the frame. So I wanted to highlight these and get them out of the way. And so when we talk about remaining committed to your fitness journey and just not having not having what you would traditionally or typically have during your fitness journey, and certainly that's been certainly been the case with me this year, and how for more than just all of these years, more than 25 years, I was all about gyms, different states, yada yada. That was wonderful. But when the gym shut down, my last workout was Monday, March 16th of this year, and like many people, which is, what am I going to do? What am I going to do in this situation? And I've talked about this a number of episodes throughout this year. And so what did I end up doing? Is I ended up working out, creating my own home fitness center here, and bought a lot of stuff. Since then, the supply chain for the fitness industry in terms of equipment and things like that has certainly caught up here over the summer. I think that's when the biggest boost was very noticeable. And so I started out, and I've got some items here to show and tell where I've started and where I am now. It's just amazing, the growth. And I've got to hold this one in place while I show you. But you'll recall, this was my first weight that I bought. I actually found this at the Walmart in Nova. It's my 8-pound weight. Bought this early on. This had to be maybe like the 3rd or 4th week of March. And so bought this 8-pound weight. It was the last weight they had, and I was so excited. And I remember telling myself, well, it's only 8 pounds and it's better than nothing. Because you recall in that episode earlier this year where I highlighted my purchase of this weight, I told you that I do 25 in gyms, 25-pound side rows. 20 side rows with 25-pound dumbbells. And so I had this 8 pounds, and I was like, it's not 25 pounds, but it's better than nothing. And I'm working on my humility, so hey, bought this weight, and it makes me smile when I look at it now, because now I have a number of weights, and I'm like, this is where I started, and I've got to hold this one because it's going to roll off the table here. And so this is my 25-pound dumbbell. And so started out with the 8-pound, and so I created this dumbbell. So you'll recall, I actually bought this dumbbell handle here at the Cape Girardeau, Missouri. I actually bought several of them. So I bought one at Cape Girardeau, Missouri, along with, they had some dumbbells at that location when I drove to Shreveport. And then bought a couple more in Shreveport. But anyway, long story short, you'll recall earlier this year, these 2 larger plates, they just informed they're all the same size. So bought these from Walmart. So you recall, I was so excited. So a total of 10 pounds. And so Meyer, here in recent weeks, Meyer has gotten a number of plates in. So long story short, what you see here is on each side, I have 5 2.5-pound weights on each side. So I've got my 25-pound dumbbells, so I do my side rows now. I can do them at home with my dumbbell, what I would typically use at the gym. So I'm gonna put this down. I knew something was gonna fall off or fall over. So I'm gonna keep this here to hold that in place. So folks, be determined. It may take some time in order for your fitness journey to come together. It's certainly taken quite a bit of time for mine to come this year, just in terms of being able to find different things. But I was so excited. Now I've got my dumbbell right here at home that I would typically use. Obviously in the gyms, they just got your 25-pound dumbbell, so it's much easier. But I had to get creative. We talked about one of the things that the coronavirus, when we think about some of the benefits that it has on us in terms of developing our character, making us better people, bam, causing us to be creative and innovative, find different ways of doing things and making things happen. So I just had to start off with that. So at the beginning of the year, started off with the 8 pounds, and the end of the year, I've got my 25-pound dumbbell. So excited. So it's a little bit challenging because I'm seated, so I'm trying to navigate all these things. Another thing, here, kettlebells. Kettlebells. Recently, a couple weeks ago, Five Below. I've talked a lot about Five Below. This summer, I actually wrote a letter to the CEO of Five Below, a letter of appreciation, Joel Anderson there in Philadelphia. Five Below, for years, actually since they opened when I was a member of Powerhouse, I would go in there and buy things that I would use, actually bring to Powerhouse some extra things, like jump ropes and things like that, speed agility ladders that I still have actually, that helped me start out earlier this year when I was working out at home. And so they have gotten kettlebells in. They've gotten kettlebells in, and so was able to get 2 10-pounds, and obviously you could see them here, 10, 10, 5, and 5. So I've got 30 pounds. And so what do I do? In addition to obviously using them with traditional kettlebell type of strength training and working out, bench press. So I don't have a weight bench here at Rachelle Smith Fitness Center, and good old creative Rachelle. I'm actually right-brained, highly right-brained creative, so it's easy for me to just come up with different things. So you'll recall my baton, I used to twirl baton at Powerhouse, will be resuming during the next chapter of my fitness journey. When I go home-based and gym hybrid, we'll be twirling again, probably in a group fitness room or in something like that, and take this baton and actually put a scarf over it because I needed something long enough, just for a quick demonstration. And you'll recall, you can see both of these smaller or shortened stools that someone gave me. Remember I told you earlier this summer, some person put these two stools, these two brand new wooden stools, and a pack of exercise mats. Somebody left them in my driveway with a note like, hey, I'm moving, hope you can use these. I have no clue who it was. It could have been somebody who watches Fitness Friday. It could have been someone, in my condo, in my subdivision. It's hard to know like who it was, obviously. And so what I do is I space both of these stools about 12 inches, 16 inches apart. So that way the top of my back, in terms of behind my neck and my shoulders, is well supported, as well as obviously my butt. It's supported, so I have it spaced out a little bit, and have this pillow over them to provide support for my back. And so what I actually do is put each of these kettlebells on this baton, and I've got big hands, in case you haven't noticed, I've got big hands, and so I'm actually able to lay back and do my bench press utilizing kettlebells. And so I did not want to be greedy, and they had just gotten, when I bought these, I was just so in shock because I hadn't planned on it. I just ran in there, I hadn't planned on it, and I saw that their fitness section, they had just gotten a truck in, it was full. And they had 6 10-pound weights, and the old Rachelle, and that's what I'm telling you, and I've talked about earlier this year, this realm of selfishness. And do we go in a store and just buy everything out, or do we leave something for other people? And particularly with something like this, I said, you know what, I just got these weights. It was probably about, I don't know, 6 or 8 of these in terms of each different weight dimension. And no, this was all I got. So I'm going to continue to build up and get more, but I just didn't want to be greedy and selfish and get them all at once. So I'll continue to build up weights, but I'm just so excited to be doing my bench presses. Had to get creative, had to get innovative, but that's what you got to do to make things happen. And you should have seen me when I did that first bench press with these kettlebells. I was just like, man, it has been so long. I've not done a bench press since I've been in the gym, and this is my last workout on March 16th. And so at Planet Fitness. And so it was just, but you gotta be creative, folks. You gotta be determined. You gotta persevere. You can't give up. And as I told you, based on some early fitness lessons from my dad, from Dennis J. Hilgar, my former gym teacher at Seoul American High School in Seoul, Korea, just learning those early lessons, foundational lessons on fitness, the value of health, the value of wellness. I spent several years in medical sales, so I was able to kind of really get exposed to the health aspects of all of that, and medications and this and that. And so for me, if you know me personally, that even when the gym shut down earlier this year, not doing anything was not an option, was absolutely not an option for me. And so I had to do what I had to do, and that meant working out at home for the very first time, Saturday, March 21st, that morning. It's amazing. When I think back to that morning, how it basically started with nothing, and now I have all this stuff downstairs that I've accumulated, and my plan for this point in the year, I was gonna have 2 gym memberships, and now I actually have no gym memberships. And so I'm just so excited. Of course, I will be returning to gyms in the next chapter, in the next season of my fitness journey. But folks, you gotta be determined. You gotta be determined. You gotta persevere. And I'm gonna put some of this stuff down to just kind of crowding me out. But it's easy, of course, in the fitness arena to just, oh, I can't find anything. I'm not just gonna do anything. Oh, well, the gyms are closed, whatever the case may be. No, folks, remain committed. Remain determined. Remain determined. And something that has fallen over, I'll reach over and grab it. And as I proceed on with this episode, it's a little bitty box, and it says Bloom Bright. I'm not sure if you can see it. It says Bloom Bright. And actually, the person who gave this to me, she and her husband, so when I lived in Minneapolis, or Minnetonka was actually one of the suburbs of Minneapolis before I moved to Detroit. And toward the end of my time there in Minneapolis, I actually took some leadership development classes, just personal development, professional development, at Hennepin County Community College. So various courses. It was so cool. And one of the people in my classes was named Debbie. And I learned that she and her husband are actually from Sterling Heights, Michigan. And that's actually one of our suburbs here, quite a ways away from me. But they're from Sterling Heights. So I just moved to Detroit, Metro Detroit. So I lived in my apartment in Dearborn at the time, and it had to be within about 6 months of my moving here. So she and her husband came, and they were visiting family in Sterling Heights, and I invited them over for made lunch for them in my apartment, and she brought me this, and they gave me this gift, and it said Bloom Bright, and it was actually in a little container that said Bloom Where You Were Planted. And so you can see the Bloom Bright, and it's got a little flower on it. And it really came back to me. It just really came full circle when I saw this a couple of weeks ago in a store. And so when I saw this, it's actually a calendar, obviously for 2020, so it's really kind of useless at this point, but I actually am going to hang this up downstairs in Rachelle's Home Fitness Center. As you can see, it says Bloom Where You Were Planted. And it just really brought things back full circle. When I first moved to Detroit and I had my plan, we all have our plans in life, right? I've talked about that a couple times this year. I had my plan. I'm going to move to Detroit, live here in Dearborn, and I'm going to move on. My next stop is going to be Philly. Then my next stop after that is going to be Boston. 2 great cities, 2 wonderful cities. And so as I explained before, I didn't expect to love Detroit, Metro Detroit area, including Ann Arbor, like I do now. And so I just smile when I think about Bloom Where You Were Planted in Rachelle's Home Fitness Center earlier this year, when I went down for that inaugural workout at Rachelle's Home Fitness Center, and how I have truly, it has bloomed and blossomed, and now I've got just all this stuff that it took me a long time to actually get, and don't want to put this down because that's going to roll over and it's going to mess up my flow of my episode, so I'm actually going to leave this sitting here, the dumbbells. And so, Bloom Where You Were Planted, folks. So a lot of times in life, we have our plan may go awry, life may happen, coronavirus pandemic, for example, made things like this happen, but we've got to keep on keeping on. We've got to remain determined, we've got to remain focused, but also we've got to be open. And I even think back to that when I had my plan. I was going to spend 3 years here in Detroit, then move to Philly, then move to Boston. And I think, but imagine if I had not have been open, if I just had a closed mind, tunnel vision. I'm doing it. It's going to be 3 years, and then I'm out of here. It's going to be going to Philly, going to live in Philly, and then I'm out of here, and I'm moving to Boston. And that's a wonderful plan. People do that. That's a wonderful thing. But I'm just pointing out the importance of being open. Because when our plans, when we have to make U-turns, when we have to make a right turn, when we have planned to go straight, whatever the case may be, if we're not open, we miss opportunities in life. We miss opportunities to learn. We miss opportunities to grow. We miss opportunities for our character to be developed. And when I even think about this year, and even Rachelle's Home Fitness Center, imagine, as I had been for so many years, more than 25 years, home workout, never an option. It's all about gyms. I want to go to gyms. It's got to be in a gym. But I had to be open to that point when I sat on my couch Friday night. What in the world am I going to do? Because not doing anything fitness related, that's not an option. That is not a losing my health, losing my, having setbacks in my health and wellness. And with all due respect, life happens. We have health challenges and all of that. Please recognize the spirit with which I'm saying this. But I'm saying for as far as the things that I can control, my diet, exercise, and things like that, I'm remaining highly committed to that. I remained highly committed to that, and I will continue to remain highly committed to that. So not doing anything during this pandemic or any other time fitness related to just stop working out is not an option. Just that option was never on the table. So for me, it's just how am I going to make this work? How am I going to make this work? And so for me, it was the establishment of Rachelle's Home Fitness Center. I'm just so excited. I'm just so, you just have no idea how this year has truly come together. But I've been so grateful. And I read you the letter of appreciation that I wrote to Joel Anderson, the CEO of Five Below, just expressing my appreciation on behalf of millions of customers because they've done a wonderful job this year of their fitness offerings and things within the store. And I've been to different stores and they've just done a wonderful job. So I read that letter on a Fitness Friday this summer, expressing that appreciation, reading that letter. Also, actually, the Edge Fitness Clubs, actually those two, I would say, Five Below, coupled with the Edge Fitness Clubs, are certainly the co-MVPs of my fitness journey for 2020. And of course, Edge Fitness, not even a member of Edge, and just got my attention, engaged me, and it just have done a wonderful job in terms of keeping me engaged. And certainly just the quick burst of 5 minutes worth of inspiration when I was on my couch that Friday night before I worked out at home and just reviewing their Facebook page and just looking at some of those workouts and just got really, really inspired and said, hey, I got to make this thing happen at home. I got to make this thing happen for the first time ever at home. Just so grateful. I actually sent a letter to corporate at the Edge Fitness Clubs in Connecticut. And so just so grateful. But it took my own openness, because imagine if I would have just had tunnel vision. It's got to be a gym. It's all or nothing. I will not work out unless it's at a gym, or I won't work out unless it's outdoors. Folks, we've got to be open. We've got to be adaptable. We've got to be flexible in order to make things happen. And if someone would have told me in January of this year, Rachelle, later this year, you were going to be working out exclusively at home and you were going to love it. I wouldn't have believed it. I would have think you were joking. There's no way, yada, yada, yada. But I have been very transparent and I've laid it out for you guys step by step, week by week. So you wouldn't be surprised because, ultimately, people that are really, really perceptive, you saw the buildup happening. You saw, which I eventually, canceled my gym membership. And you saw that, I went exclusively home-based fitness. But there's been, and this certainly is in the realm of a leadership development type of session that I would have from a training perspective, where I would literally lay out a timeline of signals that I've given along the way. But somebody, if you're really, really perceptive, you were like, yeah, it's coming. It's only a matter of time. And I was purposely being transparent, because a lot of times when I make decisions, people are surprised, particularly major decisions like that. If I'm leaving something, whatever, because I'm always going to be professional. I'm always going to take the high road. And so people tend to be surprised, when I leave something or, move on. People are tend to be very, very surprised in some cases. And I purposely was laying it out for you so you could see. And as I alluded to in an episode, that was the fall of 2019. And I told you, as far as the next chapter of my fitness journey, I didn't expect the coronavirus impact on it, where I'm now all home-based. And so at the time, I expected to partner my Planet Fitness membership, which I had for more than 3 years, partner that with LA Fitness, either of the three, LA Fitness, the Edge Fitness Clubs, and Schoolcraft College. And I pointed that out. The fall of 2019, those were my three in terms of pairing that with my Planet Fitness membership. And so in terms of my next chapter, I think about what's next for me, and there's always some thought processes. As you should know, again, I've been very, very transparent about this all year, pretty much. Um, the Edge Fitness Clubs, Farmington Hills, heavy, heavy, heavy favorite moving forward in terms of my next chapter, my next season being home-based and hybrid. So partnering or integrating a gym membership is part of that next season moving forward. Edge Fitness, heavy, heavy, heavy favorite. And I've talked about Edge a lot this year, and again, being very transparent, wanted you to see so you can draw that conclusion as it's kind of come along. Very, very, very impressed with actually all three. Very, very good options. LA Fitness, we know they've, have some financial bankruptcy and things like that. So they're going to do some reorganizing and evaluating different clubs. It's certainly always part of that process in the fitness industry or not. So they're going to be, I'm sure, evaluating clubs, determining which clubs are profitable, which ones are less profitable, probably closing some clubs. So there's going to be some uncertainty there within that. But LA is always going to be an option for me in terms of my fitness journey, whether it be the next gym or the following gym after that, or following gym after that. I have a lot of respect for LA, and would join LA certainly in a heartbeat. A little bit further from me logistically, but since I'll be home based, partnering or combining that with gym based, that will be less of an issue in terms of me having to drive a significant distance. So for me, it would probably be the Plymouth, Michigan location of LA Fitness if I go that route. As I stated, the Edge Fitness in Farmington Hills, I actually went to that grand opening on September 28th of 2019. Was very, very impressed, and just for full transparency, when Katie Forrest reached out to me after that, just did a wonderful job as a salesperson, but I just having that background in sales, I always am very, very respectful of people's time from a sales standpoint, and I just know that she was getting pressure, to sign me up because I had, obviously been to the grand opening, and so we could talk about prospecting and how when somebody comes to your building or your business or grand opening or something like that, how that person is more of a warm or a hot prospect versus someone that is cold, that you may just be cold calling. So won't get into a sales discussion, but she did a wonderful job. But I was honest with her and said, hey, this is my issue. I'm actually not happy now. I'm not unhappy, pardon me. I'm not unhappy. But I'm very, very impressed with the Edge and what you guys have to offer, and just all of that. And so it was very, very respectful. Like, please, take me off your list, because I know if I remain on the prospect list, you're going to have to continue to pursue me, and I'm just not there at this point, because it was a matter of my moving forward in the next decision and when my next chapter. At that time, the two factors were I needed to be. I was not, everybody knows, I was happy at Planet Fitness. If Planet had Precor, PFX, I would still be a member of Planet Fitness. And so it was a matter of, I was happy where I was, but this whole factor, as I told you, the Precor EFX, and of course other machines in addition to that, but Precor EFX is a bare minimum in the next chapter of my fitness journey in terms of gyms moving forward, an absolute requirement and necessity. So it had to be, and where I was going to, the timing, from a timing standpoint, was dictated in terms of where I was going to make my move, was going to be dictated on. At that point, my missing Precor EFX was probably about a 3 at that point. So that number would have had to reach closer to 10 in order for me to say, hey, I'm ready. And it was only a matter of time. It's as time has gone along, you guys have heard me talk more and more about Precor EFX. So you can tell I'm at a 10 now. I'm at an absolute 10 in terms of being ready to reunite with my Precor EFX machines, in terms of, knowing gyms or fitness membership will be in my future, and time to make a change. But we know the coronavirus kind of threw a wrench in that, because gyms closed, and then eventually it was shut down for a long time. And so I actually ended up canceling my membership, because how I feel, and I talked about that last episode. I just cannot have a gym membership of any type, any facility membership, anything that I'm paying for and I'm not using. That is just my biggest pet peeve in fitness. It absolutely is. And so I couldn't be hypocritical and do that. And so, of course, now I'm really, really missing the Precor EFX. I'm waiting for this situation in terms of the coronavirus and all of that to stabilize a little bit. Because if it had, when that happens, I'm absolutely going to be moving forward with my next gym membership. So obviously, LA Fitness Club, so Schoolcraft College, Wonderful, wonderful option. They've got Precor cardio machines. Predominant, I think Precor probably has to be their cardio machine vendor, and Precor very, very prominent in that particular gym. And so I'm always thinking, yes, not only am I going to have a good workout, but what lessons am I going to learn? What lessons am I going to learn as a part of this experience of joining a gym? Yes, I always factor that into it as well with LA Fitness. One thing that certainly, I mean, they're just a national chain. Has done extremely well. They bought out Valley Fitness, as I talked about last time when I was a member. So I've had my eye on LA for a long time. When I was a member of Powerhouse, actually in 2016, I reached out to corporate, LA Fitness corporate. Any chance you're going to be building a gym in Wixom? You know, it was now, of course, it was the location of a former Ford plant, and now Menards and other entities have kind of opened up around that area. But corporate at that time, LA was very, very honest. We have no plans, and I understand that. Looking at me from a business standpoint, it would have been great for them to open up, but from a competitive standpoint, that's the thing. These corporate chains, they are doing their market research. They are doing competitive analyses and recognizing, and I see it and I understand it. But just the opportunities, and the city of Novi is just saturated from a fitness perspective. Now, of course, it's going to change a little bit because we've had some changes just due to the coronavirus pandemic. Like, for example, I Love Kickboxing. I actually went to that grand opening and last year, and I Love Kickboxing is now Fit Theorem, and so that's a whole nother fitness franchise. I believe the owner is still the same, but I just noticed that last week. So there's been some changes, but from a in terms of opening up, in terms of launching a new fitness facility, Novi is not the market. You know, it hasn't been for a long time. We have some major players here in our surrounding areas, and it's just, if you're looking to really solidify your place in the market, just do not come to Novi at this point unless you're a highly specialized boutique type of facility. You'll be okay, but a general fitness, general big box gym type, it's just going to be a struggle. It's going to be a struggle. And so that is that. But with LA, they have a beautiful location in Evanston, downtown Evanston, the home of Northwestern University, right there off the train station. And it's just, I mean, beautiful, beautiful location. I've had my eye on that one for a number of years. So that was a big draw to me in terms of LA. Yes, I would have different locations in LA here, in other places, other cities, but also that beautiful location in Evanston. But what happened, as I alluded to in a previous episode early last year, Northwestern University, our Alumni Association, sent me a privilege pass that is good until 2025. And so I can use this at any of the recreational or sports facilities or fitness facilities on campus. And so I actually done that whenever I'm on campus. Utilize some of the fitness facilities there on campus that I used when I was a student there. So that changed the equation in terms of that big draw of LA Fitness being downtown Evanston, because Northwestern gave me access to the facilities, which is unexpected. That came to me in the mail, and I was just so excited to get that. So that it's ever changing. My scenario and what I'm thinking about, and the plans for my next chapter are ever changing, because I'm thinking about what is important. And as I alluded to last time, the values piece is something I'm really looking at. And LA Schoolcraft and the Edge Fitness Clubs, from a value standpoint, in terms of what I'm looking for personally. Everyone has their opinions, and we're all entitled to our opinions. But for me personally, I'm just been very impressed with how they've handled, in terms of honoring the state mandated shutdowns and things like that, and following CDC guidelines, and just very, very impressed. And so it's amazing that in the fall of 2019, those were the three that I was going to choose in terms of my next gym for the next chapter. And here we are now in December of 2020, and they remain, even despite, this pandemic and everything. Just very, very impressed with all three. But full transparency, the Edge Fitness Club's heavy favorite in that particular scenario. And so when we think about, as I shift here to close this episode, we know how important determination is, remaining focused, particularly for those in gym and leadership type of roles, where what you want to do is engagement, and the keeping your members engaged. That has been, and not even from just only the fitness industry, folks. This whole engagement issue, where you're talking about employers, how do we keep our employees engaged during this pandemic? Thinking back to earlier this year, and in membership type organizations, whether it be professional development type of organizations, networking organizations. How do we keep our members engaged? Schools. How do we keep our students engaged? Churches. How do we keep our church members engaged? I mean, this has been a big issue. When you really get to the nitty gritty of one of the biggest challenges that the coronavirus pandemic has posed globally, it's around this issue of engagement and people becoming disengaged for one reason or another. People becoming disengaged, and that's what I mean. I was very transparent. I had a wonderful experience at Planet Fitness, but you saw it. I was very transparent, and it played out before your eyes. Where early on during the pandemic, where I just got disengaged when I saw that home work-ins that they offered, and it was just very basic and 20 minutes or less, and I couldn't relate to that. But part of that is, like I talked about in a number of episodes ago, their primary target audiences are first-time gym goers and casual gym goers, people that may go from time to time. And here I am, a gym rat or a former gym rat to someone that exercises 5 to 6 days a week. It's been like that for more than 26 years now. And so for me, I just couldn't, I saw that. And I remember I had a Northwestern professor who told us years ago, if you ever see some advertising, marketing type of pieces, collateral messaging, ad on TV or wherever, and you see something and you look at it and you go, huh? You're not part of the target audience. And it was so true. And then I just thought about that and I said, yeah, but if I were a first-time gym goer, I would see that 20 minutes or less and be like, yeah, this is going to get me going. This is wonderful. But I just couldn't relate and I disengaged. And we talk about the perils, and talked about that one episode back in September, the perils of a drifted gaze. When you lose someone's attention, when you lose someone's focus, they become disengaged, whether in the workplace, whether a fitness facility membership, whether a church membership, whether a professional organization losing members. This is happening all over, where people become disengaged, and all of a sudden, well, my gyms aren't open, so I'm going to start using the app, or I'm going to get a Peloton bike. Peloton has been kicking butt this whole year. Nordic Track, all of these type of home-based workouts and fitness manufacturers are doing extremely well. And so that is just the tough part. That is just, how do you keep people engaged during the course of this pandemic? But you've got to be open to do things differently. You may have always done things in your facility. Speaking of leaders now, you may have done things for 10 years and they've worked well for you, worked wonders. But this is a very atypical year. So it requires us all being open, being willing to pivot, to change, to be creative, innovative, to leverage technology in unimagined ways. And I know this year, just the wonderful experiences that I've been able to take advantage of from a technological standpoint have been wonderful from a personal and professional development standpoint. The webinars and the Zooms and all of this and that, basically it's tough to get to, because when these activities and conferences and symposia and things like that are in person, it's tough because there's only one person, there's only one me, and I can only be one place at a time. So that has been wonderful, but I'm just so grateful that I've been open. As folks, when I think back on my life, this concept of being open is so important. Being open to new ideas, open to new activities, open to new learning opportunities and growth and development and all of that. But having a closed mind, you miss out on so much. And I've talked to you a number of times. You've heard me highlight various aspects of, my affiliation with the University of Michigan Health System, also known as Michigan Medicine, as a clinical trial volunteer, a healthy volunteer. So what that means, for those who don't know, I'm the healthy person who involves in various types of clinical trials, where they need someone I'm a member of the control group, so they need to compare the healthy person to the person who may have the condition, illness, disease, whatever the case may be. So I drive to Ann Arbor, 30 miles each way, but I'm very passionate about that. I love giving back in that way. But I'm so grateful I was open. When I got the first email about the MIPACT, MIP-ACT study on April 2nd, 2019, hey, we have this study, would you be interested in signing up? And I had my enrollment meeting. Yes, I'll do it. Raise my hand, absolutely. Had that first meeting April 30th, 2019. Then ultimately later on that summer, just had some wonderful experiences. And then Dr. Sachin Keterpal, who's a co-director of precision medicine at Michigan Medicine, asked me to be on that advisory panel. And just I'm very opinionated, so that's always a good idea to invite me to do different things like that. But my experiences involved in clinical trials, and couple that with during this pandemic doing a lot of Zoom webinars with the University of Michigan, within their actual academic departments, and just have been exposed to so much, have done so much. But I could have told myself, I didn't go to the University of Michigan. Why do I want to participate? My very first role as a biotech sales rep, I had the Ann Arbor, with my company at the time, Cardiovascular Therapeutics, I had the Ann Arbor territory. I lived in Dearborn, but University of Michigan was one of my vendors, was one of my accounts. And they are very, very tough on industry type of representatives. They are like that on everyone. So it's very tough to access physicians in that health system, and it's just they're an academic institution, and so they distance themselves from industry, from the pharmaceutical and biotech industries for a purpose. Very, very heavily. They want to maintain that objectivity and distance from the industry while also doing research and moving things forward. But I could have told myself, University of Michigan, that was tough. And I didn't make a lot of headway in terms of before our company realigned and I got a different territory. But I gave it my best, and I worked hard, and I developed some relationships, and I made some things happen. But I could have told myself, the University of Michigan, that was my account, the health system, Michigan Medicine, that was not an easy account. That was full of adversity and challenges and overcoming things. So now with that opportunity to actually become a volunteer, to move forward, to take more of a leadership role as a clinical research volunteer, I could have said no, I'm not open, whatever. But I was open, and my life has been immensely blessed by the University of Michigan and Michigan Medicine. Just wonderful opportunity. But how often in life do people miss out on wonderful opportunities in various aspects of life? Why? Because they had a closed mind. They were not open. Folks. So be open. Please be open. And I want to read something to you as we talked about the perils of a drifted gaze. And I'm going to close with I'm going to read two different emails. And so I wrote this, and the title of this email is Northwestern Alumni Thanks and Recognition. So I sent this to Morton Shapiro, who's the president of Northwestern University. So I sent this on Saturday, 4:25 p.m. And so I sent this, I was recognizing the Northwestern University Transportation Center, also known as by the acronym NUTC. So I copied the director, Hani Mahmasani, Brett Johnson, who's an associate or an assistant director, Joan Pinnell, who's a coordinator there, and Laura Whalen, who's our executive director of the Northwestern Alumni Association. So let me read you this letter in the context of engagement, of not losing people because of the result of the perils of a drifted gaze, which is happening to so many entities, including colleges and universities. I want to recognize this NUTC because they kept me captivated this whole year, but I had to be open. I'm not an engineer. I don't have a background in transportation, and so I just want to read you this email, and you'll see what I mean. Hello, President Shapiro. I hope this message finds you and your family well and healthy. Happy Hanukkah. As one who is never shy about sharing my alumni experiences, I would be remiss not to let you know how pleased I remain at Northwestern's engagement activities, even in the midst of COVID-19. Earlier this year, I received an email to participate in a Zoom webinar hosted by the NU Transportation Center. I signed up and have participated in a number of their subsequent webinars. If there is one word to describe my reaction to the ongoing webinar series, it's captivating. I attended a past NUTC event I saw advertised on Planet Purple while back on campus for an alumni meeting. Thankfully, they kept me on their email list. I have learned so much. I am not an engineer or transportation professional, but always strive to open my mind to new things. And let me tell you, my eyes have been open to the transportation industry in unimagined ways. For example, this past June 20th, I drove from Metro Detroit to Louisiana. I vividly recall driving southbound on I-71 in the rolling hills of Kentucky, constantly seeing Amazon semis. I had never seen so many Amazon semis in my life. Those images, which remain burned in my brain, remind me of some of what the webinars taught me about freight, distribution channels, cargo, rail, air, sea, global trends, etc. In addition, on another recent webinar highlighting the current major CTA Red Line upgrade project, I recall thinking to myself, wow, I had no idea so much went into subway and elevated train construction. I was on the edge of my seat. I am so grateful to the NUTC team and Dr. Hani Mahmasani, Brett Johnson, and Joan Pinnell for their tireless work. The webinar content and consistency is much appreciated. The teamwork and collaboration has been excellent. A lot may have changed around me this year, but those webinars have been a 2020 staple and highlight. I always get excited to see an email from Joan announcing the next event. Thank you all. And Laura, that's our Executive Director of Alumni Association, thanks for your leadership and continuing commitment to Alumni Leader Appreciation. I received the NAA, NAA stands for Northwestern Alumni Association, that's the acronym we use, the NAA card during National Volunteer Recognition Week. Despite the challenges facing our world today, you represent a constant. Your sincere gratitude and willingness to continue to express appreciation, pandemic or not. On behalf of alumni leaders across the globe, thank you and the entire NAA team. I wish you all a happy and healthy holiday season. Thanks for all you do to make Northwestern great. Cheers, Rachelle Smith, Novi, Detroit, Michigan. And so receive a response from the president, Morton Shapiro. Morty, we call him Morty. He's wonderful about responding. He is very charismatic. Students love him because he's very responsive. And so for him to respond, I sent that email at 4:25. He responded same day at 4:51. He also copied everyone. Rachelle, many thanks for your beautiful note. Your ongoing intellectual engagement is positively inspiring. All the best, Morty. Morton Shapiro, professor and president at Northwestern University. So there's a leadership lesson in that, folks. I don't care what your level of leadership is, respond. It's responsiveness is so important. But that's an example. They have kept me captivated unexpectedly. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a transportation engineer. I'm not a traffic engineer. But I was open. I saw that email and said, this will be an opportunity to learn about something new. And so here I am. They kicked us off, I believe, in the month of April of this year. And here I am in December, still participating in them, still captivated. A wonderful blessing, a wonderful learning opportunity that I could have missed out on by saying, that's not my area. What do I care? They're done via Zoom, so it's a wonderful opportunity for me to participate in live them. And it's just been fantastic, but a way for the university to keep people engaged. Now, I had signed up for a past event, so I'm sure that's how I ended up on the email list. But the folks that are participating in these Zoom webinars are individuals that they hold conferences that are very, very pricey for transportation professionals. They hold professional development conferences and symposia and things like that on campus, typically, but due to coronavirus, it was all held via Zoom. So I am quite blessed that I've been able to participate in those, because there are people, if they were held in person, these are multi-$1,000 type of events. They charge a lot for these type of development opportunities. And so just so impressed with what I participated in and seen. But it wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have been open. And so when you think about, Northwestern, and I kind of laugh sometimes, and got the season's greetings card, season's greetings from Northwestern, happy holidays, but in it, it's business as usual, pandemic or not. Warmest wishes this holiday season, Northwestern University, and they have this card in here with, please remember Northwestern when making your charitable gifts this holiday season. So Northwestern, from an alumni perspective, they're not going to let your gaze, they're not going to let, you're not going to have a drifting gaze. They want you focused on that university, particularly from a giving and from a donation and fundraising standpoint. So I kind of smile when I see that. They're very good about staying in touch and keeping in touch and doing different things. And I want to end this episode by highlighting, from a client standpoint, for me personally, and I've highlighted a couple of his past emails to me, and just for confidentiality and NDAs, and I can't disclose who this is or what the client is or what the project is or anything like that. But on December 1st, 2020, at 3 p.m., got an email from Z. It's the same Z, and it says, Rachelle, and he's got about 6 O's after the S. So good to be working with you again. Hope you're staying safe up there. Crazy times. Your report was excellent and exactly what we needed to understand the blank, can't tell you the client, sales process. I added a little thank you to the stipend. Be well, Z. This is just, when you talk about from a client perspective, you don't have to worry about my gaze drifting away from a client like this. We just think we're just very, very big on appreciation. You can tell that's just probably our number one thing. And so it's just back and forth, we're just expressing appreciation. And he appreciates it so much. We will give you a bonus and add additional funds and things like that over and above each and every time. But this was that project was around Thanksgiving. So I'm never too busy. I'm never too busy for someone like this. So I'm always engaged. I'm always available for a client like this. And so when we think about this, we say, this is it for this episode. This is it for this year. It's been wonderful. So folks, the perils of a drifted gaze. There's a lot of people that have lost, we're not talking about by death, those tragic, that's struggling. What I'm talking about is from a disengagement standpoint. We have companies, businesses, gyms, entities, nonprofits losing employees because they become disengaged. We have churches losing members that are going to different churches that are now participating in online churches. It's a lot of change is happening because that fundamental issue of disengagement has happened. And so what I want to challenge each and every one of us to do is do whatever we can. We're human. We're imperfect. We're going to make mistakes. But what can we do to keep folks engaged? Fitness leaders, what can you do 2021 and beyond? Perhaps it's always you thought the status quo was cool. It worked for you in the past. And now you got 40% of your people that have bailed on you and canceled their memberships. We've got gyms closing. This is a very tough time. Very tough time. So what can you do to keep folks engaged? How often are you in touch with them? Do you listen to feedback? Do you solicit feedback? How grateful are you? Do you express gratitude for their memberships? So what things can you do? And I just highlighted two powerful examples in my own life. And this particular client is out of state, but was able to do some sales work. I do competitive analysis for this one as well. That's one of actually sales and competitive analysis, two of my areas, but never too busy for this one. All right, never too busy for that Northwestern, those transportation center webinars. I'm making time. I'm rescheduling appointments and things like that around those because they're bringing value. They're adding value to my life. So what value can you add to your members? This is a gym situation, to your employees, if you're an employer. If you're an employee, what value can you add to your employer? It's a two-way street. Relationally, do not allow that gaze to shift. Friendships, relationships, because when it's hard to get that back. It's hard to get that back. And so folks, that is all I have for you today. I want you to be successful in each and every arena of life, certainly on your fitness journey, whether that be you're a fitness leader, or you're a fitness professional, or you're a gym goer, or home-based or outdoor-based fitness enthusiast like myself, folks. It has been quite a year. It has been quite a year, but despite the pandemic, we have all learned, we have grown, our character has been developed. I know personally, like this whole issue of just not going to stores and whether getting fitness stuff or not, just buying out whatever's on the shelf, don't do that. Compassion, humility. I have grown my own level of creativity and openness. Just grown in different areas. Made my own dumbbell. Never would have thought never thought making my own dumbbell would have been an option, but folks made it happen in 2020. So folks, we are here. We have made it. This year has not taken us out, folks. And so with all due respect to those who are dealing with this coronavirus, who've lost people with this pandemic, I send my apologies. I send my sympathies to you. This has been a very challenging year in many different respects. So I respect and I honor you and your loss. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about from a disengagement standpoint, but also recognizing that even in the midst of challenging seasons of adversity in our life, we can overcome. We can overcome. These hard times make us better people. I've said that over and over and over and over this year, and I will never stop saying it. We learn more, we grow, and we develop during seasons of adversity than we do at any other time of life, folks. So make it a great rest of the year. I look forward to seeing you again in 2021. It has been great. Thank you for your support all of these years, and certainly this year. Let's continue to make some stuff happen in the fitness arena and 2021 and beyond. I can't wait to see you next year. But until then, remember, I am positively passionate about your fitness, leadership, and success. Make it